Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this podcast from the Light Review. We're kind of on unusually we try and make these things a little bit timeless, but we've got hold of Dan Griffiths from the LIA for a very particular reason, and that is in a month's time. So I'm now going to tell you we're now it's the 12th of August 2025. For anybody who digs this up in 1,000 years' time, that's where we are. And in a month's time, the LIA have got two conferences back to back in different venues. This is almost rock and roll, Dan. What is going on?
We've gone for it this year. So we have our ICEL emergency forum on the 11th of September, but we have changed up our technical forums. So traditionally we used to host one or two technical forums a year, normally two a year. This is a year where we've gone bigger, we've gone bolder. We've pushed the boat out a bit more, and we have a brand new event called TECH-X, which is in simplistic terms, a super technical forum.
Super technical.
No one liked that name. It didn't catch on weirdly. Mega super technical forum. So TECH-X it was.
Okay, but if I turn up at Telford, I'll be sure to talk about the super mega technical forum thingy thing, and then everyone will know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
Okay, so I get that. The ICEL conference I mean, that's virtually that's an annual event, isn't it? So
Yeah.
so we were expecting that, and I guess we look to what's up for in the emergency sector, and
Mm-hmm.
we know what's going to be what's going to be talked about, and hopefully we'll get one or two pleasant surprises, maybe one or two unpleasant surprises as well, just to keep everybody awake. So that'll be fun. Um, the TechX, because here's the thing: if you big these things up so that it becomes more than sitting around a table in a pub talking about the latest light fitting, not suggesting that the LIA technical forums are just sitting around a table in a pub, but you're kind of obliged to take the material with you.
Mm-hmm.
So the mega gargantuan thingy technical forum, what's it? Will have mega gargantuan presenters, presumably, to talk
Yeah.
about similar kind of things that are happening, which could be a complete surprise to everyone. So tell us, I tell you, I'm really interested in your role in all of this, because once these things actually sort of hit the ground, usually all the organisation's done. But I've got a sneaky suspicion that Mr. Griffiths is going to be there front and centre for 2 days, not
Uh,
including the wherever you end up in the night in the evening between. But am I right there?
yeah, definitely. So with TechX particularly, we've changed things up. So we have three stages. So traditionally, our technical forums, there's been one stage, and you get a little smattering of everything.
Yeah.
Um, heavy on standards, legislation, and regulations that are coming on to really keep our members up to date on what's going on. And then you might get a little bit of lighting controls, a little bit of lighting design. John, you very kindly did a talk for us at our last tech forum on the benefits of light. So we tried to build stuff in, but I think this year we've got three stages now, so we kind of
Mm.
recognised a gap. So for me personally, I will be very busy, so I'll be manning the light and design stage, so one of the three stages. I've got a panel discussion and I've got a talk for ICEL, so it's going to be a busy few days, but I can't wait. Genuinely, I cannot wait for it. It's going to be
I bet.
the talks, the speaks, what we've done for membership. We tried to listen to our members. We went to our council to really get, um, you know, their thoughts and impact on it as well. Of like, are we doing the right thing? Because for me in the industry, having worked for a member previously for 14 years to being at the LIA, um, it's very hard sometimes to get the information that you want. As a, if you're specialising in light and design, you can go to the professional route, so you can be a member of the SLL, member of ILP, obviously individually, but as a company, it's very hard to go to an event and get information away from
Yeah.
those individual routes. And that's something that we saw where we could really help a lot more with that. Obviously, we have partnered up with other associations as well, but that was really the drive. And same with connected lighting, that 2016, 2017, 2018, you couldn't go anywhere without talking about connected lighting. It was everything. And then it's probably died away a little bit. It's still massive in our industry, but there's less events where you can really go learn and see what's actually going on in the industry.
Yeah.
So we're bringing it all, John. We're bringing it
I,
all.
I've got a suspicion that what's happened with smarts is that it's starting to work,
Hmm.
and we're not getting the noisy boys anymore. What we're getting is much more pragmatic, much more realistic attitude that says, well, how do we make this work? And as soon as you do that, you take away the Maseratis and you take away the fun and you take all the rest, because it's now hard graft to
Yeah.
make it work. But it actually makes it much more realistic and much more valuable. Here's the hospital pass for you so early, because I can only be in one place at any one time.
Hmm.
Is Where do you think I ought to be during the course of the day? Are there unmissable ones on on track one so that I can avoid track two, or do I just literally toss a three-sided coin and just go wherever it says?
That is the hospital pass.
It is.
Uh, I'm normally a prop in rugby, John, so I'm not used to catching them. Um, I think for me on the event, so the way that we split it, we've got the Tech Talks arena, the light and design stage, and the connected lighting stage. We have an amazing keynote speaker, which I could touch on in a little bit, which is for everyone to start the day, and then we break off to the rooms. All the rooms are planned to finish and start at the same time. It might be a bit more stressful on the day, but in theory that works. Um, so timing of presentations is important. So the idea is you can kind of go through either track you like. So you could spend a morning in each room. You could go and focus on individual talks. I think we have some incredible talks on every stage.
Mm.
So if I hit on a couple away from the keynote, we've got the LIA's position on remanufacturing, particularly focusing on the commercial elements of remanufacturing. Obviously, 787 has come in and done a lot of the groundwork, but some people have wanted a little bit more in terms of commercial responsibility for remanufacturing, which we've
All
tried to
right.
focus
Yeah.
on. So we have that. We've got OPSS joining us to give some updates on UKCA and CE as that still goes on and what's going to be coming. We have on the light and design stage, we've got a real good mix. I think it's an incredible stage, if I'm honest with you. We've got the updates on Part L. We've been very heavily involved with HSE and the Department of Business and Trade in regards to the new Part L regs and some concessions, which I will be discussing there. We've got a heavy section on daylight, updates on TM30 and some of the others, the CIE position paper on really defining colour. And then in the afternoon, we've got a lot on dark skies, particularly as we've been doing a lot of work ourselves. And obviously, we've got a lot of outreach. We have what we've done, and I don't know if this has been done before. We have a panel of pretty much, we have the SLL, Light in Europe, LIA, ILP, and IALD. So we're all going to be sit on a panel and try agree on what we should do for dark skies, which
Wow. Okay.
that's really good. And then we've got Connected finally, where we've got some very interesting talks. We have got OPSS as well coming to talk about the PSNTI and the latest enforcements that they've been doing on that, as well as then it kind of follows the flow of REBA stages to kind of really help people understand what they should be doing. So we've got general technology updates for everyone because that's always important. But what we've got some talks. One particularly for me is wired, wireless, or hybrid. If you're on a stage 3 or stage 4 REBA, what to use, what to consider, what do you need to look out for, which I think that's the valuable stuff that people need to know, because
Yeah. Yeah.
if you get that wrong, you find out about it
Right.
later on. And
Okay. Well, actually, I mean that sort of raises something in my mind. Looking at my own design work,
Mhm.
um, are the talks going to be recorded? Will they be archived and accessible?
Ooh, good question. It's currently internally up for debate if we are going to record them at the moment. We normally record them and keep them accessible. So I imagine that will
I,
be the intention.
I will give you the why.
Mhm.
Because although, as I said, we feel that the smart controls market has grown up and is maturing, but there is still a sort of an attitude that goes wired or wireless,
Mhm.
and the hybrid thing just goes. because nobody's ever heard of it. Nobody knows how to do that. But
Yeah,
actually, most of the time, that is the answer.
100%. And
Yeah.
even from my own experience, I agree, 100%.
So the idea of me talking to a client, talking to an architect, whoever it might be, to say, actually, I think rather than me yabber on, just have a look at this video. It's only 10 minutes, quarter of an hour, whatever it is. But I think that this will tell you what I'm trying to tell you. The difference is that this is somebody standing up in front of loads and loads of people saying the same thing. So it's not just me saying it, it's an industry saying it. So from my side, I'm going to say, please, can we have it? Because I think those sort of things are enormously valuable.
Yeah,
Once the day is done, and most people will not be at the conference, but most people will still want to have knowledge of it. So
yeah,
if we can,
yeah. No, that makes sense, and I think you're right on some of these things. There's a lot of content throughout the day, so where you can digest that separately again and go back through it. That's normally valuable. We always have slide decks. We always share that.
yeah,
So we always do. We try to record all our presentations across 3 stages. We just need to keep the timings right on how we do that. But I think that's the idea of the event, pretty much. That um, open the event up. Traditionally there's a lot of technical managers, product managers. We don't get many light and design. We don't necessarily get dedicated controls because they might only get one talk. We put this on for hopefully for companies,
yeah.
particularly, not to send one person, but to send 2 or 3 people, particularly, so that you can get all the information across the stages
Yeah.
as well,
I,
there in person.
I must say, this does seem the LIA going beyond its brief, going beyond its normal community.
Hmm.
I'm not suggesting it's wrong to do that. I think it's
Yeah.
absolutely right to do that. I think everybody should go in. These are the things that we need to talk about. But it is not an expected
No, I'd agree.
journey for you, because you say turning up at a technical forum. You know what you know what the conversations are going to be. You know what the conversations are going to be while you're drinking a cup of coffee with people, because you are in the community. It's like going to an ILP event. You're in the community. But this idea that you're okay, well, we'll have multiple tracks and we'll talk about smarts over here and we'll talk about design over here, and we'll talk about LIA stuff over there. But actually, it's all one big program, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think so. Some of this has spawned out of as well as trying to do more for our members. We have associations groups where we work and sit down with the SLL, ILP, ILD, and we all kind of get together in one big room and kind of just iron out what everyone's doing to make sure we're not doing anything contradictory. But we really kind of want to bring these things together,
Mm,
and I think that's been a passion. And I think for us, we don't want to take away from what anything else does. We're writing some dark sky guides at the moment, but they reference a lot of ILP documents
yeah,
because they're amazing documents. We do a lot of work still on light design standards, but we'll always reference SLL guides because they're incredible. And we might help write some of those things. So I think for us, it's trying to get the associations together. I think in the industry, post Lux particularly, there's not really been a lot of events. We've got Light 25 this year, which last year to our Light 24 was incredible. I think
yeah.
from an exhibition perspective, it's great. I think there's just not an event for talks for the industry. And I think the idea, the passion is, as this develops more, that the wider industry is invited and involved. That's a first for us that we've done that. It's normally member only, but it is open to the wider industry to attend. But we want the industry to get better, but we need to work better as associations and other bodies within that in lighting to not one duplicate work, but to I hate the word synergy, but to be aligned a lot more and to be doing the right things and giving the right messages.
It's what that word is for, you
Yeah,
know. And because of my great advanced age, I'm able to say that the relationship between the manufacturer and the designer stroke specifier, that is a synergy that is irreplaceable.
yeah,
So my relationships with manufacturers, I think, is second to none, and they trust me, I trust them, and the client by far gets a better result. than imagining that the designer knows everything or the manufacturer knows everything, and everything that disappears down the hole in the middle, which you don't want to do. I think coming back to Lux, that's an interesting one, because for me, I mean, this is a bit of a personal loss when Lux sort of closed down, but the one-day conferences that were headlined,
Mm-hmm.
an emergency conference, an exterior lighting conference, a facilities managers conference, whatever it was, I thought those were the best days of the year,
Yeah, I
because
agree.
all of a sudden the focus came in like that, and the manufacturers were there, and the designers were there, and the engineers were there. So if you can pick up that mantle, good on you. Absolutely.
And I think that's a desire. I used to attend those
Yeah,
myself,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
used to love the events. And I think for a lot of people in the industry, there's many great events that are going on. I was lucky enough to attend some of the ILD events. I've attended some SLL events, and the content sometimes is incredible. And you come away and you're rejuvenated almost within the industry, because you hear something new, you see something new, and you go, I need to know more about this. And I think it's the same with this. And we just see something for members and the wider industry, particularly of, you know, where we do so much work as an industry and we talk about so many things and we do so much advocacy work, particularly.
Mm,
Really kind of bringing things together a lot more. Like you mentioned, lighting designers need to work well with installers, they need to work well with manufacturers, otherwise it doesn't work. We've also got M&E consultants, which is a massive part of lighting, where we need to work close with M&E consultants so they're getting the right information. Particularly, they're not just hearing the information from one particular company, let's say, with a commercial slant. We're giving unbiased information for everyone, so that anyone in that chain, whether that's installers, we're trying to work more closely with some of the larger wholesalers as well on some of these things to ensure that the wider industry, so your local
yeah.
councils and stuff like that, your social housing, all the things that need to know these things, it's that trickle effect otherwise, and we're trying to bring these things together a lot more to get that. If there's an update to a standard, in a safety standard, it affects everyone. If there's an update to a regulation, it affects everyone. But broader than that as well, it's controls and light design and everything in that is the lighting industry, and that's what we're
I,
trying to do.
you've got something very special to play with as well, because you've got ICEL.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I was with some designers on Friday, and it's good to see the fear in their eyes when you say, of course, I firmly believe that every lighting design consultancy should have an expert on emergency lighting. They go,
Yep.
really? Really? What? Ooh, what? And you go, well, it's we take it as a grudge purchase. That's what it's been dubbed as. And all it does is it stops people from dying. So what's the problem? But
100%.
because it's not been a trendy topic, and it's been left to engineers, it means that we haven't had the buy-in, because they haven't had to have the buy-in. But I like the idea that if ICEL can be given some of the magic dust that you're creating around TECH-X, that it's not about people who know the regulations for emergency lighting inside out and are just waiting for the updates.
Yep.
It ought to be about people who don't know anything about emergency lighting, and who
100%.
feel the need as a professional person to come
And
to the party.
and that is the target. So I know this year for ICEL, we've got some large airports, we've got some large end users that are signed on to attend. And that's the type of people we want, because they're the type of people who need educating. You're 100% right, John. What we don't need to be doing is, as the expression is, preaching to the converted, because we're all going to sit there and, if it's a room of lighting manufacturers and we're all telling the importance of emergency lighting, and you're a lighting designer, we're all going to be nodding dogs. We're all going to agree. It's the wider audience to understand the implications from what's happening. So particularly with both events, they've got some quite powerful keynote speakers. And on the TECH-X keynote speaker that I mentioned earlier, we've got a gentleman called Ricky Nuttall. Now, recently, the latest Netflix documentary has just come out on Grenfell, which is an incredible, heartbreaking watch.
Yeah.
And Ricky Nuttall was one of the first responders at Grenfell. Myself and I had a chat with him when we wanted him as a keynote to talk about the importance of, when you can spot something's wrong, to speak up, which is for wider industry. It does apply for manufacturing 100% as well, and design, but it's the whole industry. And he had some quite It was he's wrote some amazing poetry on it, which has been published and speaking word events. But he spoke to me and Aisha just briefly, and I don't want to take away from his talk, just about the stairwells, and that the emergency lighting wasn't right in the stairwell, so they couldn't see the floor numbers they were on. So they had to
Yeah.
go into the floors to look at a room number to get to know what floor they're on. So it's the small details that add up in these things and can be a big issue. And I think that's what we need with the wider industry. I don't want to sit there and criticize any section of the wider industry, because we've all got our things that we've got to do and nobody's perfect, but collectively we've got to be better together. And that's what we want from the events.
Collectively, it's
Yeah.
a collective. There's only one project. It
Yeah,
doesn't matter how many people there are around the table. There's only one project.
definitely.
Absolutely right. Dan, we said 20 minutes. I'm looking at the clock. 20 minutes is just about there. Okay, we're going to get this. We're going to try and get this live as quickly as we possibly can. So I'm going to say to everybody who gets into this before the end of next week, book your place. Book your place before there aren't any places left to book.
We do have
And if
limited
you can't
tickets.
get there, I'll keep lobbying these guys to make sure the whole damn thing is archived. Dan, tell us where these things are happening.
That's a good thing to mention, isn't it? So TECH-X is September. I've got to get this right now. September the 10th, 133. I've just got Houndsditch. There we go. I almost said what the other venue was. 133 Houndsditch in London. Incredible venue. Really good. ICEL conference is at Cavendish on the next day, so September 11th. Both in London. Make sure you're there.
Yeah, and the Cavendish, of course, is my old stamping ground through my Lux
Yes,
days.
correct.
Love it to death. Love it to death. Dan, I'll see you there. A fantastic time. As you say, this is just going to be an absolutely gorgeous event. Looking forward to it. And thank you all for being with us. And hey, see you in a week or so's time in Houndsditch or in the Cavendish or wherever we get together.
So
Thank
I'll
you
see
very
you then.
much.
Thanks.